All right, so today we're going to be talking about expressions. Yay. Woo. Mathematical term, not so much the expression of, yeah, I'm happy, but more about this concept of how we can think about expressing certain things in math. Now, this relates to three other pieces. We have equations and we have number sentences. So we're going to real quickly kind of walk through which each one of these are and then focus on just expressions. So let's start with the number sentence because that's actually the one that kind of consists of everything, right? Just like a sentence in a book, we kind of have everything from the beginning to the end with the period at the end. So a number sentence is the exact same way. A number sentence would be something as simple as having, well, actually, I shouldn't say simple. Let's just put together what it has. We should have at least two numbers. It should have an operation. It should have an equality. And it should have an answer. So these are all the things that kind of come along with a number sentence. So if you understand those pieces, you can just play plug and play or check it off your list or however you say, but whatever it may be. Let's just take an example of, let's see, two numbers. Maybe I want to do 9 and 3. Okay, I need an operation. I'm going to multiply those. Okay, I need an equality. Okay, that's equal to, and I need an answer. Well, 9 times 3 is 27. So this would be a number sentence that has every component to it. At least two numbers, check, check, an operation, check, an equality, check, and an answer, check. So that was what would create a number sentence. That's all of it. It's all the pieces. Nothing's missing. The next step in terms of understanding these three different things would be the equation. And the equation is very close to a number sentence, except it will have I don't know if it's really an addition. It's kind of like a replacement, I would say. It would have the replacement of a variable, which again would be the piece that we don't know or the unknown, which often we represent as a letter in math. So I could take my same number sentence and actually turn this into an equation by just doing this. A times 3 is equal to 27. Now I have an equation, right? So that's all we're doing is we're introducing a variable into our number sentence. Therefore, it changes into an equation. Great. An expression actually is has the least amount of things to really think about in this. So in terms of an expression, you're still thinking about what you have going on here, but with an expression, you look at basically is this. You're going to have at least two numbers, and you're going to have an operation. That's it. There's no math to be done. It's just actually translating the math and thinking about the math, but you're not literally solving things. So a good expression might be, well, I'll just use the ones I have here. So if I took my number sentence, this would be the expression part, 9 times 3. That's it. That's an expression. There's no equal. There's no answer. It's just whatever it is. 9 times 3. So let's kind of take a look at these now that I've made a mess of this board. So the whole way that this is ever presented to us is that we have these sentences and then we're asked to turn them into an equation. So again, you have to understand some vocabulary in there. So this piece here is helping me understand what operation I have, right? More than. So more is a word that goes with addition. So if I had 3 more than 12, well, then I could say that is 12 plus 3 is my expression, 3 more than 12. Okay, and it can get tricky in the order you write things by the way that they're written. That's another part that makes this complicated in translating them because it's really about a vocabulary and trying to visualize what's happening. And that comes with practice. There are some tricks, but right now I think it's more about just kind of really visualize it, try it out. We'll continue to practice, so don't sweat if you're like still super confused. So the next one would be the product of 9 and 4. Okay, so product is a vocabulary word that I know refers to multiplication. So if I have the product of 9 and 4, then I have 9 times 4. There's my expression. Okay, and then here we go. This is one where like the order does matter, right? It's going to be tricky here, but it says 13 less than 52. So I guess, yeah, one of the tricks is maybe the word after then usually helps me know that's the first word or number I'm going to start with. So I have 52, and then we have less, which is subtraction, 13. And this would be my expression for that. Let me clarify there. Sorry. I realized I was writing equal signs in there and I didn't want that to be confusing. So these are just the expressions: 12 plus 3, 9 times 4, and 52 minus 13. So these are what they call simple expressions. Shame on them, because who are they to assume what is simple and what isn't? But they often refer to a simple expression as one that has just two numbers in an operation, but that is not it for operation or expressions. In this case, you can see I've written two larger ones that consist of a couple extra steps. So one way to go about it is kind of break it apart. So this says the difference of 6 and 4. Okay, so I'm going to start there, and I know the difference is subtraction, so I'll go here. And then it says added, just kidding, it should have said added, but it doesn't. Added to the product of 4 and 9. So again, I'm going to take this piece and look at that, the product, that's multiplication, 4 times 9. And I'm actually adding these two together. Now, to make sense of this, again, I have to understand my use of parentheses, and that's what I have here. So here's my expression. Again, notice no equal sign, no answer. I don't have to think about the math. I actually don't have to do what 6 minus 4 is. Sometimes they will say, write the expression, then solve. So yes, then you're turning that expression into a number sentence. But in this case right now, we're just translating. So let's look at the next one. It says double of 9 subtracted from 100. So again, here's that from or then. So I'm actually going to start with 100, which can be tricky. Like, I know I make that seem simple, but the more you do these, the more that will make sense to you. But I'm starting with 100 and I'm taking something from it. So that's where I know that number is going to come first. Oh, and I know I'm taking because it says subtraction. And then double of 9. So 9 doubled is just 9 times 2. And there we go. There's my expression. Okay, so that would be that piece of it. Now, there is more because it's going the other way. So let's just say I have, I don't know, this is why I shouldn't always just make things up. Here, okay, whatever. So you're gonna get an expression and then you have to write it out as a sentence. So if I look at this, what I see is this piece, which is a product. Or I could say 6 times as many as 3. Like, that's the other thing that I guess gets tricky with how they present it to you, which is why we're going to have to practice all the different ways we see things. But this is the product of 3 and 6. It could also be 6 times as many as 3. It could be 6 times 3. So I don't know. I'm just going to go with the product. So this says the product of 3 and 6 minus 3. So I actually think I might rewrite this one. That's the cool thing about math, right? We're always revising our thinking. And what I'm going to say, I'm going to start with this piece. I'm going to say 3 less than the product of 3 and 6. Now, there are going to be multiple ways you can write things. And that's the other thing that's tricky when it goes this way. You just have to think, does it make sense? And does it check off? I mean, obviously, this wouldn't work if I said like 42 times as much as 6 minus 3. Like, that's not, those numbers don't even show up. So that is another trick with this, is looking at these this other way. Let's do one more. Let's just go with what they call the simple expression. But again, not always so simple, so don't worry. That's just a vocabulary word. So here, if I look at this, I see we have an addition. So I could think about more. I could think about added to. I could think about the sum. So there's lots of different words I could put together in here. And I'm just going to say here then, this is 4 more than 7. This is kind of typically the one they try to do to be tricky. 7 plus 4 can be written as 4 more than 7. Because again, remember, the then and the number at the end is actually usually where you start, because that's you're doing the math to that number, if that makes sense. Which if it doesn't, that's fine. That's why we keep practicing. So these are expressions. These are expressions. So a quick review on an expression. Remember, no math, no equal sign, no answer. So an expression is literally 2 or more numbers, and then an operation, or sometimes more than one operation. But again, let's just say and operations. So these are the two things that make an expression. So if you continue to think about that and practice that and ask questions, that's how we learn all of our math, is we ask questions and we practice and we try. So like, don't sweat after one go if this doesn't make sense. Like there's nothing to worry about in that case. It's more about what can I ask to make more sense of this and how can I keep practicing it so it clicks in my head. So keep up the good work and thank you as always. And we will see you next time.